One of the best things in Black Flag Resync is that we get the rope dart very early in the game, opposed to the original's design where we get it in sequence 11, which was a point where most players are done with about 90% of the game. But while I think this was a great addition, it does subvert an already subtle narrative device in Edward's self-realization. And so I want to explore how Resync and the original Black Flag use the rope dart in their storytelling, where one uses it to mark a pivotal moment in Edward's story and how he began to understand the Assassin's Creed, and how the other attempted to rationalize its appearance early in Edward's journey.
Here, take this. It's deadly up close and from afar.
In the original, Edward receives the rope dart from Atabay after he decides to visit Tulum. This was after the events in Port Royal, one of the darkest and lowest moments of Edward. This was where Mary died in his arms and where he learned the fate of the other pirates. As the quest name promptly stated, it was a moment where Edward suffered without dying. There, right after, Adewale, his quartermaster and close friend, left him to join a greater cause. So he was now alone and with no purpose. He has wealth, he even has a whole island for himself, and yet for the first time in the story, he felt like he had nothing. So when he visited Tulum, it was a blatant plea for help. With no purpose, all he had left was Mary's dying words.
You should have been the one to outlast me.
I've done my part. Will you?
If you came with me, I could. Mary.
I'll be with you, can we? I will.
And so when he approached Atabay for help and the two had a brief discussion about the creed, it was obvious that Edward was a changed man. Opposed to the person who believed the creed meant he can do as he pleased, he now asks questions. He understood that the creed was a beginning of wisdom, a flint stone to spark a deeper contemplation of freedom and order. So when Atabay handed Edward the rope dart, it was him accepting this one selfish pirate into the Brotherhood and giving him a helping hand or rope to right his wrongs. And Edward willingly accepting the rope dart without question was an allegory to his transformation into a wiser person, open to the wisdom that can be shared by others. To go even a step further, the fact we get the rope dart very late in the game, where most players have finished 80 to 90% of the missions, can also be taken as the narrative design telling us that the game could have been played differently if Edward joined the assassins earlier. Because once you get the rope dart, you have this sense of bewilderment, imagining how previous missions could have been approached differently if you have the rope dart earlier. It coincides with what Edward was feeling during that time, that if he had the wisdom to work with the assassins earlier, everything may have played out differently. Mary might have still been alive. Maybe Nassau would have flourished into a bustling city with commerce. In Resync, the rope dart is introduced very early in the game. Edward receives it from James Kidd aka Mary Read about 3 or 4 hours into the game. And looking at how Edward received it, it was almost negligible. Mary handed it to him, telling him it's a deadly tool. Edward even made a snarky remark that rope is a very accessible tool for sailors.
More rope. Easy purchase for any sailor.
And from a mechanical gameplay standpoint, I do not have issues with this execution. The timing was perfect, not very early that it wouldn't make sense, but early enough that the players get it before the game fully opens up. And Mary being the one to give it made sense since she was an undercover assassin. However, looking at it with an analytical narrative lens, it doesn't carry the allegorical theme from the original. Edward receives the rope dart right before he robs the Beckford plantation. So he gets access to this tool as he is about to exercise a selfish agenda, mainly in pursuit of wealth. So instead of the rope dart being a symbol of a far-reaching wisdom, it becomes just another tool to realize the selfish ambition of a pirate. What's more, it is odd that Mary Read would hand an assassin's tool to a common pirate at this time. Just before handing the rope dart over, Mary even asked Edward where he got the outfit.
Fancy seeing you here, Kenway. Still looking sleek and mean? Did you steal that costume from a dandy in Havana?
No, sir. I found this on a corpse. One that was walking about and talking shite to my face only moments before.
Huh.
While Mary became curious, she should have first been cautious. Edward, while he didn't know it, killed a master assassin. She had no way of knowing if Edward is secretly a Templar and killed Walpole right after he handed the information to Torres. So it's odd that after that interaction, Mary just handed Edward the rope dart, an assassin's tool. Although with more mental gymnastics, one could say that this moment was when Mary started to ease Edward into the assassins. Maybe she was positive that Edward is not a Templar, and him killing Duncan was a sign of potential. And so her handing the rope dart may symbolize the beginning of Edward's journey into the Brotherhood. However, this would only make sense if the Beckford mission was related to the Assassin and Templar conflict. While the Beckfords do have a history with the Assassins and Templars, this mission in particular didn't really show any signs of Assassins or Templar meddling. So perhaps it would be up to the player's interpretation. Because of the rope dart's early introduction, I strongly believe that the rope dart should have been replaced with something else during the scene with Atabay. Simply because the passing of the rope dart from the assassin's mentor to Edward Kenway, the man who would soon become one of the most important assassins, is a pivotal moment in the franchise. So replacing it with something else would have been a better choice. But the question is, what should it be replaced by? Well, I think it should have been replaced by a tool upgrade. This way, the game can avoid the original problem of introducing a new tool very late. Personally, I'd prefer a blowpipe upgrade, an additional lethal dart, one that kills an enemy instantly after the shot. If you look back to when Edward received the blowpipe, Mary gave it to him as a stealth tool, but also so that he would take fewer lives, since the blowpipe uses slip and berserk darts. This implies that the blowpipe is mainly designed for non-lethal usage, or at least to minimize lethality. This was a perfect tool for an assassin to give a careless pirate to teach them the value of life, enemies or otherwise. And so when Edward goes to Atabay later in the story, him receiving a lethal dart instead of a rope dart would show how Edward now understood what the creed meant. That he now knows the responsibility it takes to be an assassin, a poet of the kill. And the lethal dart, one that he can use to silently kill enemies from afar, would have been a perfect narrative device. While it is a new ammo type, it basically functions as just a quieter pistol, with perhaps maybe less ammo. So there wouldn't be too much mechanical difference in playstyle before and after receiving the new dart. Aside from this, I guess a direct upgrade to the rope dart would have been great. For example, as a rated rope dart that inflicts damage to enemies would have been a welcome addition. Because as it stands, piercing a target with a rope dart doesn't really hurt them. They only get pulled but no direct damage from the dart is inflicted. Adding this variation later in the game would still be good since it doesn't change the rope dart's mechanics. Instead, it just gives Edward additional damage in his ability cycle. A more drastic alternative is to change the way Edward obtains the rope dart. Instead of having Mary hand it to him, perhaps he could have swiped it from Mary's hand during their dialogue. He could have become curious about the tool since it is something he has never seen before. Then Mary may try to get it back, but then pauses and let Edward keep it, noting that he should use it wisely and carefully. This way, Edward obtains the rope dart the same way he took the outfit, swiping it from an assassin. Then during the events in Port Royal, Edward can lose the rope dart to signify how he loses Mary and everyone else. Only by visiting Tulum and talking to Atabay will he gain access to the rope dart again. This time not stolen, but handed to him as a sign of his growing wisdom and understanding of the Assassin's Creed. And with that, the genius of the rope dart in Black Flag storytelling would have remained beautifully.